Okay. Hey. No more talking about this. Let's get back to business.
And is it recording for sure?
Yeah, it is. So, how's it going with you and how's Hong Kong been after such a long time?
It's great to be back in Hong Kong. Really cool seeing all the different changes. And this event is pretty fantastic.
So, we haven't explored Hong Kong yet. However, we have Ali over here. Ali, how's it going for you in Hong Kong? And have you been here? Like, how many times have you been there?
I've been to Hong Kong many times. First time back in 3 years, and it is awesome. Hong Kong's back.
Okay. And for someone like me who's an absolute Hong Kong virgin, right? Hong Kong Web3 virgin also, what do you suggest I do here? Or rather, we do here. Though he's not a Hong Kong virgin, but what do you suggest that we do here?
I mean, it's packed with a lot of Web3 events this week, but there's also a lot of really cool things at the horse racetrack happening this week. There's also great hikes in Hong Kong that you got to do if you've got time in the morning or evenings.
I do have the time, but looking at this, hike is not going to happen. Like the hike has to take a hike.
Fair enough.
And since you guys have been here and you both are investing in the space of Web3, I always love to ask this question, especially to VC. What is, like, two things that you should not do while you're looking for investment?
I don't like investing in companies that are also doing equity investing on a token basis. Generally, because you have a small company, ability of value, with basically you have to master, essentially. So essentially, if you're a token holder, you're getting short-shifted because, there's nobody that a fiduciary duty to is really going to take care of. And then the flip side, if you're an equity holder, you're not, you don't really have actual control because the liquidity is all sitting at, with the token holders. So you have like this really weird situation. Like when companies are doing fourth rounds, they try to avoid.
Okay. Ali has a very evil smile. I don't know. I think
it's interesting because we always take token and add equity exposure if we're doing a company that has both. So that's just always been part of our philosophy, like where possible. I mean, things that companies should do, there's a lot of things companies shouldn't do. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's just, what they should be doing is focus on where there's value and focus on, what actually clearly the traction and what the vision is and where they're going. And I think that oftentimes just get masked in a lot of like BS that, you don't always need to put front and center.
Great. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'd love to say. So my view about that, in terms of like investing in companies, both on an equity and token basis, is that, again, you have limited value, right? It's just splitting the value. So it only works if you have both, right? So I've seen companies, for example, that have tried to do this. They say, okay, cool, we started off thinking we're an equity company, then we changed focus, and now we're a token company. So we take our equity investors to show that they have some amount of tokens to make sure that they're taken care of. But what happens is that the investor will sell his tokens. Now, you still have a fiduciary duty to take care of it, but this is an equity in this, but he has no tokens. And a lot of the value has been restructured to go to the tokens. Then he can go back and be like, yo, where's my money? And there's no fiduciary.
See, that's probably more of a problem around token structuring that, right? And aligning incentives properly.
Well, not really, because generally companies that shift from having an equity basis to the token structure, usually the value is locked in the token. And usually it's more like a stopgap measure. It's like, we started raising funds.
This conversation is pure gold, by the way.
So they say, okay, cool, let's, then you change and make value in your tokens. But now guess what happens? The entire company is structured by the value as bumped in tokens. And equity is really about this.
So we do think there's problems for sure around governance when there is structures, right? And understanding our value word in the board. I think what we've seen though is it's hard from an investor standpoint to control whether both happen. And so if the case of both happen, we want to be part of both if we lead the team to pick up.
But then how do you control, for example, value leakage between them?
There's definitely value leakage. But again, the problem is we don't know where it'll fall. And so if you assume that you can't control if the company has token or equity or both, then if they're doing both, we want to be on it.
Yeah, well, let's say, for example, guys sell one and then hold on to the other. How does that? How do companies resolve that?
I mean, I can see the challenge. I think these are things that are still being sorted out at once. But at the end of the day, you can't control it from an investor standpoint. Like you basically have three options, right? Own the equity, own the token, or own both, or not. On North. Well, exactly, right? And so at the end of the day, like those are the choices you have. It's not forcing it happen.
Yeah, or you could not invest that. Look, what I suggest, generally speaking, is look, we're launching a tokens. Launch a token, prove the value in that token, right? Like make clear that where the value comes from, right? And then once that happens, if you want to do an equity round, like let's say a couple of years down the line, as long as you structure it to where essentially the equity enhances what it is from token perspective, but doesn't cannibalize the value from that, you're cool. So the best thing to do then is like launch a token, like have it figure out like find its equilibrium in the market, its price, its value, what is it to do, like what is the utility, and then have a completely separate utility. Plus, anyway, this to earn lawn, there's no separation like utility.
I mean, it is different than rare mechanics and bull mechanics, right? Like depends on the market. So in a bull market in crypto, you'll have a lot of companies that don't do equity rounds, that go straight to token and sort of follow that math. In a bear market, basically 100% of these companies are doing equity rounds first, and then they see.
That's a problem, right? With fundamentally the massive equity round. Because tokens and equity don't work. Is I can do like a $8 million equity round, but I can't do that with token. Because that will kill myself.
It depends.
I mean, it's the evaluation. Well, I mean, it doesn't. It depends mostly on liquidity, because you can have fully dynamic values passive, right? But then you can only induce so much liquidity when you launch, right? So if you have like an $8 billion and let's say you put $8 million in a company on a token basis, well, those guys are going to want that in comparison to that need value. They're going to want value of those tokens, like part of the whole period. But that company is they manage that downward self-rate, and you can't manage $8 billion in self-rate. I'll give you an example. So on average, you see the total market cap like at TG, right? Like, so what do you call it? Circulating market supply, right? So we see like anything $100 million. There was a time when we thought that was about good. Now it's basically like 500,000 underneath that. But let's say, for example, it's so for then what $400,000, for example, there's still $4 million in self-registry of that company 10x's, right? So now you you spend that to $8 million, you're talking, you're going to get killed. Right? If you launch a token like that, and that's major sub-pressure. So that's kind of one of they say curing it, like not logs. I mean, we've got. Yeah, but the thing, I know what you're saying, right? Like, great, like let's just lock these tokens up. The problem is that investors, they don't want that, right? Like,
exactly. Why about just power dynamics?